it,
Gosh.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's an anthology comedy movie, so it's made up of several different skits and several different segments. But somehow, and I don't know if they were blackmailed or what, but the cast is tremendous. It's got Hugh Jackman, Elizabeth Banks, Emma Stone, Kate Winslet, Holly Berry, Richard Gere, Gerard Butler, Johnny Knoxville, and Sean William Scott are in the film. Naomi Watts, Chloe Grace Moretz, Leah Schreiber, Uma Thurman, Anna Faris, Chris Pratt's in the movie. So they've got this tremendous cast, and it was produced by Peter Farrelly, who one of the Farrelly brothers from There's Something About Mary and Shallow Hal, Dumb and Dumber, and he just won an Oscar for Green Book.
Oh my.
And this film is it's filled with scatological humor, and it's just absolutely horrible. Every single one, like every skit is less funny than the one that preceded it. It's hard to kind of criticize a comedy because there's only so many ways to say it's just not funny. But this movie just wasn't funny.
It sounds like a really tank, and I'm glad I saved my money on that. I was just going to maybe rent that out on date night, but I'm glad you told me, so I'm going to save it on that. So maybe just a few more here, and before we get to your Amazon books, just a few more of the worst movies that you've seen.
Well, there's two famously bad films that people love because of how bad they are. One is not to be confused with Room, with Brie Larson, The Room, and the other one is Birdemic, which I believe is I think it's available on streaming, but it's also available on YouTube. I think that's where it started out. Obviously, they made the movie The Disaster Artist. James Franco made that movie about The Room, and Tommy Wiseau, who directed and wrote it, financed it, and starred in it, is quite an interesting character. For a long time, no one even knew exactly where he came from, like what country he came from, or how he made any of his money, or anything like that. But that's sort of, a lot of people say that he made this as an intentionally bad film. The same with Birdemic, but I don't think you can make a quote unquote so good it's bad or so bad it's good movie by trying to. I think part of what makes it funny for people is the sincere effort into trying to make something good. I think he really thought he was making a film that was good, and it just was not. Like tons of mistakes in that film. But The Room is one that you might find interesting or you might find funny to watch it. Lots of people seem to enjoy watching it, even though it's obviously not a good movie.
It made me think. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so the last one that I would say is Jack and Jill. I think I'll use that as the stand-in for a lot of Adam Sandler's bad films. But that's the movie where Adam Sandler plays both himself and his twin sister. And there are a lot of ways that this could have gone okay and could have been a decent movie, but the sheer laziness in the script, in the acting, in the production value of it, I think it shines through. There's a part of the movie where he's at a Los Angeles Lakers basketball game, and Adam Sandler's standing there, and you see the game going on behind him, and it's clearly a green screen of video of a game they got, and it looks like a skit on Saturday Night Live. It doesn't look like it belongs in an actual, big budget movie. And they spent something like $100 million on this film, so I don't know where that money went.
I guess that's
it went to the
I guess that's a good question in terms of being at Lakers games. Where was Jack Nicholson at that time? So
Right, exactly. But yeah, just a terrible film all around. And like I said, I could put a few Adam Sandler movies on there, but I think Jack and Jill probably is a good stand-in for all of them.
It also made me think, too, that Little Shop of Horrors back in 1960, where Jack Nicholson made his debut, it was a really bad film. But then it's also you play it in cult, like the festivals and all that. It's pretty funny. But I think one of the worst movies that I've seen, and this is back in high school, 1981, Rollover, starring Jane Fonda, Chris Christopherson, Hugh Cronin. It's about a thinly fictionalized account of a legendary movie director whose desire to hunt an animal turns into, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, it was just very, very bad, poorly acted. I mean, the dialogue was just horrible. And I went with some friends, and I was like, I cannot bear to watch it. And I just about walked out like halfway through. That was like one of the worst movies out there. And Chris Christopherson, normally a great singer, great actor, got like the Razzie as the worst actor in 1981. So, I mean, you just figure on that one. So I tell everybody, just don't waste your money. That's all. So,
yeah, that's one that I've seen too. And you're right, that is a absolutely terrible film.
Yes, that was really bad too. And of course, we'll get to some of the Amazon books as well too. Once again, you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start a business or own a business for a while, who are you going to call for sole proprietorship insurance? Why not call the expert, Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group, for all your health insurance needs. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357, or evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Licensed in 7 states, in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. Also, check on Facebook, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with Mark Phillips, the owner of Michigan Sports and Entertainment and host of Massive Late Fee, the podcast, and we've been talking a lot about the movies, and I forgot to ask you, how'd you come up with the title Massive Late Fee?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mike and I, like I said, that's my co-host, have known each other for a long time. And one New Year's Eve, when we were in high school, we were looking for a movie. I can't even remember what movie it was, but it wasn't at our local Blockbuster. This was a time where you still had to go out and rent a movie on VHS. And we decided we were going to go to a Mammoth Video. Way back in the day, there, Mammoth Videos used to be out there for all the kids out there.
Oh my!
And it was quite a ways from our house, so we went there, and they actually did have the movie. We had called them to make sure that they did, and we rented it and came back to watch it with a bunch of our friends. And we had joked at the time that this Mammoth Video was so far away, we'd never go back there to return the movie, and we never did. So every year on New Year's Eve, we would joke with each other, what do you think our late fee is up to at this point on the tape? And so when it came time to start the podcast and come up with a name, I just kind of had the idea for Massive Late Fee based on that inside joke between the two of us. So that's how we got our name.
Oh my goodness! And how much did it end up as?
We still haven't returned it. Now, Mammoth Video doesn't exist anymore, so it's hard to quantify it, or if we still actually owe it or not, or if the meter's running out, or if we should have ended it when they went out of business. But I think the last calculation that we made had our late fee at around $3,700.
$3,700. Oh my goodness. That's cheap for Netflix. I'll tell you that. You're better off just buying the movie.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I'll have to keep that in mind as well too. And you also wrote some books on Amazon as well too. And you can just tell us about some of the books and where they can buy them at.
Sure. Yeah, you've done your research, but I can tell that. Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot on the podcast or on the website, but yeah, I've written several books. I started writing when I was 12. I wrote my first novel when I was 18. I'd been published, a few times by some small publishing houses over the years, and I'd had many short stories published in different periodicals throughout the years. When that was still a thing that happened, short stories are unfortunately really dying at this point. But I have 10 novels that you can find on Amazon.com. As you mentioned at the beginning, probably the most popular is the Bentley series of books. The first one is called Beneath the Mask of Sanity, and it's about a serial killer who finds a family with a mother and a father and at least 2 kids and kills the dad and then impersonates a high school student so that he can become friends with the daughter of the father he's just killed and sort of be welcomed into the family to try to experience their emotions. And that's sort of his modus operandi, and then obviously he attempts to pick off the family members one by one from there. But those became incredibly popular, and that sort of spurred me to pursue writing full time. If you look up Beneath the Mask of Sanity, Mark Phillips, on Amazon, you'll find all my books on there. I actually write, I guess, what would be typified as quote-unquote literary novels as well. There's 3 in particular that I'm pretty proud of. One's called A Way Back to Life. The other one is called Two Worlds. And then the last one is called The Space Between. And, for instance, Way Back to Life is about a man who is a newspaper reporter who writes a column, and his wife dies in a car accident. And at one point, he's been in a depression for a while. He is on his computer, and he, is going through Facebook. Somebody says something that kind of angers him or whatever. He throws his computer across the room.
Oh my!
And he realizes that all these quote unquote friends on Facebook are people that maybe he knew in high school, or maybe he's never even really met in real life, and he never sees, but he interacts with them more than he interacts with the people that actually live around him in the apartment building that he lives. So what he decides to do, and it kind of brings him back to his work as well, is to interview 5 people, 5 neighbors, and kind of get their life story. And he's going to write a column on this. So each section of the book is a different person's story. There's one woman who has a story of being a young nurse in North Carolina during the civil rights movement, who starts a relationship with a young black man and kind of everything that they go through. There's a story of someone telling, about 9/11 and where they were on 9/11. There's a story that's sort of based on my dad a little bit, of a man who drove a tank during the Korean War as part of a tank division, which is the job that my dad actually did during the Korean War. And, the things that he saw over there. And, there's just like a smattering of different stories. And like I said, each section kind of tells a different person's story, and each section brings the main character closer to humanity, closer to the people around him, and back to life, like the title suggests. So that's kind of the premise of it, is that the way to find your humanity and to find happiness again isn't necessarily through technology, but personal connections with those around you.
That is amazing, and of course, it's amazing. You could also, foretell what's going to happen in the future, and